acknowledging we actually got to January 2nd, 2022. I haven't had to write it. I don't know why I ever will unless I write a check. But I do put it in my notes in my computer and on my emails. So.
And somebody said to me, it's 2020 TOO.
Oh, that too.
It's a repeat. It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, too. Well, here comes our bell. I'm really happy to see us all together. I suspect the same thing happens to you that happens to me by the time I finally get to my meditation cushion or chair. There has been so much chatter in my mind, so much papancha of blah, blah, blah going on in my mind, oh, I woke up grumpy. What can I do to change that? Why don't I feel happier than I do? All the myriad of things that happen in the mind, and yet the joy of coming together to sit and put our paw in the honey pot, put our toe in the stream, let ourselves allow some of the busy papancha of the chattering mind settle a little bit in whatever way we can do that. But it helps to start by sitting in one place or walking. If it's hard to sit or the mind is too busy, walking will do. Or if the mind gets tired, opening the eyes and standing up and walking, that helps. And if you open your eyes on Zoom, you can watch Sandra's Christmas tree twinkle. You can just let light flow into the eyes. So whatever way you feel most comfortable, let's take this time to just begin to settle down, allowing whatever arises in the mind to be seen just clearly for what it is, arising and passing away, of a sensation that comes to one of the sense doors. It's easy to notice at first the grosser sense doors of hearing. We can notice hearing far away or close up. Just as we settle into our seat or on our cushion, we can notice whether there's tension in our body. We can take a few moments to actively scan with our minds through the body, relaxing behind the eyes. And at the jaw. Relaxing our throats, our temples, our tongues. Beginning to embrace the idea of just being still. Stilling the body, slowly calming the mind. Being aware of what's happening in the present moment. We can notice if there's tension in the shoulders or down the spine without having judgment about it. Oftentimes, as soon as we notice, it can just relax and release a little and let go. We can feel our belly. We can feel gravity as we sit in our seat, the buttocks on the cushion. Grounding in the body, this fathom-long body with all of its sense doors, which is the way that we know our world. And we might notice pressure under our feet if we're sitting in a chair. We can notice firsthand the pressure under the left foot and then under the right. There may be sensations of heat, density, pressure. We allow ourselves to be naturally relaxed in the present moment, holding ourselves with kindness. Wishing in gladness and in joy that we can be here in the present moment, appreciative to the Buddha, to the Dhamma, and to the Sangha, to the enlightened ones that have gone before us and shown us the way, to the ability that we ourselves can find that freedom through their teachings that have been handed down from the most current Buddha 2,600 years ago. And gratitude for the Sangha, the monks and nuns and all of those who understood the importance of the teachings and as best they could verbally remembered them and passed them on until they finally got written down and translated by a whole lot of various people through generations and through many countries, with the basis of the Four Noble Truths still the same. And that's what we embrace when we sit. Understanding directly the arising and the passing away of each moment that we attend to, each moment we bring mindful awareness to, in a relaxed and easy manner. And when we wander off in a long thought form, which we often do, that's okay. We can just wake up right there in that moment, realizing right then and there, this is what's happening now. Happiness can arise then because we've awakened to that moment. Not judgment about our wandering mind and maybe we'd better go back to the breath or the touch point or the way that we like to begin our meditation. We can wake up wherever we are and gladden the mind that we are aware in that moment and put together those moments of mindfulness, of awareness. That effort that we use to stay interested, the concentration that gets developed from attending to the breath or the sits point or the whole body breathing. Moment by moment by moment, we string together these moments of continuity without a certain place to go. Just freedom in each moment that we are aware that we cannot hang on to what we are noticing. We can't change what we're thinking about. We can just see what arises. We can let it go if it's unwholesome thinking that we've heard ourselves think over and over again. We can incline the mind toward the more skillful thinking of kindness for ourselves and others. But we carry on, one moment after the next, gladdening the mind. Gently waking up, finding ourselves now in this moment. Mindfulness of the four, awareness is present. Confidence in the practice as we begin again and again and again. Noticing what might be pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, neither one, in this very moment of awakening. Or we can bring ourselves back to the breath of the nostrils or the belly or the sits bones to just begin again in kindness for ourselves. That we are doing this hard work of seeing clearly, training the mind to let go of both pleasant and unpleasant moments. Just to keep letting go and being aware in this very moment. Again and again and again. having enough energy and interest to remind ourselves to be present in this moment, being attentive, being interested, even if we seem to be looking at the same thing over and over. Maybe there's restlessness, maybe there's tiredness, maybe there's doubt, or grasping and clinging or pushing away. These hindrances come upon us all the time. We can be present with them and know that we're actually inclining the mind toward the wholesome when we're noticing them. They're coming into our awareness. We encourage the mind to remain equanimous, unshaken by the ups and downs of what happens in the mind. We may notice the breath feels different now than it did when we started. It may be more subtle. Maybe it's heavier, maybe it's denser. Just noticing. What is happening right now? And what is the mood of the mind? And as we hold ourselves in kindness, relaxing and being aware, we remind ourselves to be at peace, have ease. May I be free from inner and outer harm, free from suffering. May my mind be at ease. Free from danger, free from mental suffering, free from physical suffering. May I take care of myself happily. May this joy and happiness continue. As we remind ourselves, as you've heard me sing the Metta practice chant or talk about the Metta Sutta, the loving kindness discourse. One skilled in goodness, wishing to attain the state of peace. May we be able and upright, gentle and humble, wishing that all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. And whatever living beings there are, without exception, weak or strong, large, small, middling, short, subtle, gross, visible or invisible, born and to be born, may all beings have happy minds, experience happiness. May no one deceive another or despise anyone anywhere, neither in anger nor in enmity should anyone wish harm to another. Just as a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving kindness, above and below and all around. Unobstructed, without hate, whether standing or sitting, walking, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness, this divine dwelling place, not falling into false views. May we be removing desires of sensual pleasures, never to be born again. And so we pay respect to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, all of the hard work that others before us put in to give us this joy and privilege of, as tedious as it may seem, looking at our minds, our hearts over and over again, purifying. May we let this kindness encourage compassion to bubble, inclining toward the intention of kindness and compassion. And when spreading out to others, whomever you choose, a close friend or a benefactor, a neutral person or a difficult person, there's a lot of love and wisdom here, as well as pain. And we open to the goodwill that is compassion, even in the face of suffering. May these moments of kindness and compassion in our hearts make way for wisdom and more compassion to arise. Wishing and in gladness that all beings may be free from harm, safe and protected, and have ease and well-being. And as we begin to bring this sitting time to an end, I'm going to take a few moments to read from the discourse on the highest blessings. It's terse, but it's a very comprehensive summary of Buddhist ethics and for the individual and socially. There's 38 blessings that are enumerated in it. And it's like an unfailing guide on life's journey, starting with the avoidance of, quote, bad company, which is basic to all moral and spiritual progress in a way. And it culminates in the achievement of freedom of mind, unshakable in its serenity. And it's a way of creating harmony for us as an individual, as well as society and nation and mankind. The Maha-mangala Sutta, it shows that the Buddha's instructions don't always take negative forms. They're not always a series of these classifications and analyses or concerned exclusively with monastic morality. This is one of his instructions to lay people, and we can imagine a more happy, blissful state that the household life can be attained as a result of following these instructions. There are different translations of it, but the way it came about is really fascinating. It was on one occasion when the Buddha was dwelling at Anathapindika's monastery in Jeta Grove near Savatthi. And the Anathapindika's monastery, Anathapindika, it means he who gives alms to the helpless. And his former name was Sudatta. And after he met the Buddha, he bought the grove belonging to the prince Jeta, and he established a monastery, and consequently it was named Jetavana. So sometimes you hear things that had happened in Jeta's grove. And it was in this monastery that the Buddha observed most of the periods of the rainy season, called Vasana, and that's a 3-month time period. And it's connected to the full moon in July, goes through the rainy season. And many of the discourses and many of the incidents connected to the Buddha's life, lots of them happened in Jetavana. It was in this grove that the Buddha ministered to the sick monk that was neglected by his companions. And he advised them, "Whoever, monks, would wait upon me, let him wait upon the sick." And it was also here that the Buddha so poignantly taught the law of impermanence. You might remember the story of Kisa Gotami, who brought her dead child. And the Buddha asked her to fetch a grain of mustard seed from a home where there hadn't been any death. And so he and his company were gathered there at the Jeta Grove, and it was dark, late at night. And it says in the writings that the night was far spent, and a certain deity whose surpassing splendor illuminated the entire Jeta grove, came to the presence of the Exalted One, and drawing near, respectfully saluted him and addressed him. So previously, the monks had been talking amongst themselves about what are the greatest blessings, and they couldn't really come up with anything that was the greatest blessings. And they went to the devas, the highest deva, the one with surpassing splendor, illuminating the entire Jeta grove. And this group of devas couldn't decide either. So this deva appears to the Buddha and says, many deities and people yearning after good have pondered on blessings. Pray, tell me, what is the greatest blessing? And to that the Buddha answered, not to associate with the foolish, but to associate with the wise, and to honor those who are worthy of honor. This is the greatest blessing. To reside in a suitable locality, to have done meritorious actions in the past, and to set oneself in the right course in the present. This is the greatest blessing. To have much learning, to be skillful in handicraft, well trained in discipline, and to be of good speech. This is the greatest blessing. To support mother and father, relatives, to cherish wife and children, and to be engaged in peaceful occupation. This is the greatest blessing. To be generous in giving, to be upright in conduct, to help one's relatives, to be blameless in action. This is the greatest blessing. To abstain from ill will, to refrain from intoxicants, to be steadfast in virtue. This is the greatest blessing. To be respectful, humble, contented, and grateful, and to listen to the Dhamma on due occasions. This is the greatest blessing. To be patient and obedient, to associate with monks and nuns, and to have religious discussions on due occasions. This is the greatest blessing. A mind unruffled by the vagaries, there we go. The mind unruffled by the vagaries of fortune, from sorrow freed, from defilements cleansed, from fear liberated. This is the greatest blessing. Liberated from fear, freed from sorrow. Those who thus abide ever remain invincible in happiness, established. These are the greatest blessings. And so with that, having the appreciation of the good fortune that we have, of gathering the way we do, listening to the Dhamma, sharing the Dhamma, gladdens the mind. Brings us together to our greatest good fortune. May we continue fulfilling some of these blessings as best we can. Thank you for your practice, and may the merit of our practice, this goodness, may it benefit all beings everywhere. Seeing this clearly, the rising and passing away, all things impermanent, brings the greatest happiness, which is peace. Just noticing as you open your eyes and you let light in. We can take a few minutes of a break